Yeah. Hi, everyone, and welcome to SONM's monthly Q&A session here on YouTube. I'm your host, Andy Sachs, and joining us to answer your questions live from SONM headquarters in Moscow is SONM CTO, Igor Lebedev. Say hi, Igor. So this session will last about 40 minutes. First, Igor will answer your questions submitted in advance through Slido and other places. While he's doing that, you can ask your new questions in the comments area of this YouTube video page, and we'll try to answer a few of those as well. All right, let's get started with a quick recap of SONM's booth at TechCrunch Disrupt, which was a couple of weeks ago in San Francisco. I was lucky enough to be there with SONM helping at the booth, and I can say it was really busy and really fun. Lots of visitors, lots of discussions about SONM and fog computing, lots of curiosity about fog computing in general and an eagerness to try it. I delivered over 60 presentations about SONM and fog computing at the booth. Hopefully, if you were there, you caught one of them. And I'm actually wearing my sweatshirt right now. I hope you can see it from TechCrunch Disrupt. Now, Igor gave a great presentation on bleeding edge IT trends explained. Igor, you tell us, how'd it go? Mm-hmm. They okay. I do. I do. I hope everybody out there in YouTube land does as well. Mm-hmm. Good. That's a good sign. And you mentioned that you're posting an article version of your speech, I believe, on the SONM website, so everybody who wasn't there can read about it. Is that right?
Yeah. I plan to post an article. I have almost written it already. So yes, we will post it, and I think the topic was interesting. I think the most interesting thing was about the smart contracts, which people see as the future, the future of the law, future of the legislation, and there are some bright future and there are some difficulties ahead. So it's a very interesting topic.
Okay. So while you're getting mic'd up there, let me ask about clients, because based on the feedback we got from Slido and some of the questions we got at TechCrunch Disrupt, everybody seems to be focused, I think, in the right place by looking at SONM progress based on how many clients you're accumulating. So let me ask you, Igor, just right up here, right up front, how many clients are using SONM? How many do you have in the pipeline? How many are involved in joint projects, which are companies who are evaluating or learning about SONM technology, who may be considering using it or contributing hardware or creating technology in a partnership with you? Who are they? How many are there? How big are they? Anything you can share with us?
Okay, so the question is complex, and we don't have an easy way to say about how many clients we have, because we have a marketplace, we have deals, and we actually don't necessarily know what's inside the deals. So first, we launch a counter on our website, a counter which says how many deals we have at the moment of time. So currently, I just opened the website, we have 45 deals at this particular moment. This could be 45 different customers or 45 deals per one person. I just don't see it from the number on the website. But if we go from the point of view of the companies using the system, we have first official company who confirmed using system. This is Ashmanov Networks. We had a press release since our previous Q&A, so some things changed. We have first press release about a company mentioning using us. There are also some companies in our pipeline, in our CRM system, and we are helping them to estimate the system, to evaluate it. There are many of them tens of them, but sorry, I cannot tell you these names because they did not finish their evaluation, and just it would not be polite to mention their names while they're just doing evaluation. But the interest is great, so we are overloaded with companies whom we try to explain how it works. We provide test tokens, we provide some help with adopting the software. So there is a lot of work in this field, but I think we officially can count only two numbers. First is the official number of companies which we made combined press releases, and the second is the number of current deals which are published on our website. So actually this is transparent, and these are the things that changed since our last Q&A session. We now have a counter on our website, and we had new press release. And actually, you know, there could be some companies that will evaluate and use SONM silently without making a press release with us, because we don't know actually. We just have 45 deals. These people could be anyone. So the question is complex, and I think the only valid thing here is the progress since our last Q&A session, and I think there is some progress.
Okay, so some people are claiming that the number of active deals remains low on some sort of scale, and so SONM has been available. It's launched about 10 weeks ago. Do you consider that number low? Is it lower than your target? If so, why? And how are you continuing to grow?
Of course, everyone's expectations, even our expectation, was that since our launch we will have instant growth to millions, but this thing did not happen. So, like, magic circumstances did not work out. So we now have just a steady growth of our customers and our suppliers. So saying whether this is low or whether this is high, it just depends on your expectations. We have, as you mentioned, 10 weeks since our launch, and so far, as I mentioned, we have 45 deals on the market, and this is a lot of more than zero. So we see that this confirms that the system is working for some people, and this number is growing from week to week, slowly but steadily growing, and the number of companies officially confirmed this is also growing. So yes, it's not thousands so far, not millions, but it's not ones, not two, but tens already. So I think this is a steady progress.
And tell us about the companies who are using SONM so far. What kind of projects are they using it for? Is it machine learning, video rendering, really anything except mining? Are you getting positive feedback? Are they happy with it? Is it cost effective for them? What can we learn from your clients so far?
Okay, as I mentioned, people can use our system without telling us that they do, but still, of course, we understand who use it at this moment because we actually promote them to use it. So we have two sources of the feedback. First is that people who start using it by themselves, let's say people who learned about SONM, they can start try and use it, and they visit our technical chats in Telegram and they ask questions. So we know about them from chats when they come there and ask questions. They send us emails to our support system and via other means. And the second group of people, like we have, as I mentioned previously, we have sales department and business development department, and these people are dedicated to making contacts with special companies, who, like, let's say, it's not a surprise that we have a lot of companies estimated SONM in machine learning because we target them, because we see using GPUs is like could be best used with machine learning, with video rendering, etc. And general CPU usage and general computing power can also be used for big data, for content delivery networks, scientific calculations. So we dedicatedly target these types of companies. And if you ask about the feedback, we published a roadmap since our last Q&A. This is an updated roadmap which covers pretty much the whole vision we can have in the future, because it's hard to predict what would be in the 2 years ahead, but at least until the end of the next year we have some prediction, we have some vision, and we published a roadmap. So it's filled with features, with major features, which have background coming from the feedback which we have by now. So we understood that we need to provide some services based on SONM. We should provide them for fiat money, and the roadmap is mostly covered with these types of features.
Okay.
So when you ask about the feedback, we have sorted it out, we use it, and we produce it to our new roadmap.
Got it. So I want to grab a question off of the YouTube chat window. This one comes from Extreme Hackers Pro. The question is, when new exchanges? And I'll tie that in with the Slido question we got before this Q&A session started about the Asian exchange, which I interpret to mean when will SONM tokens be listed on an Asian exchange? So let's just morph that into one big question about exchanges from Extreme Hackers Pro. And I want to remind the folks who are watching live that we encourage you to leave your questions in the chat window as well, and we'll answer as many as we can. Igor, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, there is a very popular type of the question about the exchanges, and the company's policy is that we don't command the deadlines or any dates related to listing on the exchanges. Actually, the truth is that some time ago, maybe a year ago, we allowed ourselves to predict some listing on some exchanges, and this simply did not work out. So based on this experience and based on that, we do not want the token price to be like predicted and influenced. We don't command any listing negotiations, shall we have it or shall we don't have them. So whatever it is, we don't command it, just because it will be a price manipulation, and we don't want this to happen. So we respect this question. We respect that many people want to know that, but sorry, we don't command this. We don't command this anymore. We don't command this for a long time, since the beginning of this year. If this will happen and when this will happen, this will be a press release and you will know it.
Okay, let me ask a question about rendering. How many real rendering tasks do you think have been completed since your main launch?
I think the truth is that, as I mentioned, we don't know what's happening inside the deals, but of course we know, because we promote this, not many rendering tasks so far, but we conducted some trials and they worked out. So I think maybe a few of them were already rendered on SONM, but those were testing skins. I mean, I cannot confirm and say that any real rendering videos was happening on SONM by this time, but I can confirm that we have done some test skins, some test renderings for a couple of companies. And actually, the second press release, which was expected to already be published, was about a company using SONM for rendering, but they're now rebranding, and they asked us to hold with press release until they launch a new website, so we just cannot publish it now, but the solution was already ready some time ago. So a few of them, and those were testings. But we expect this to change in the upcoming month, because if the trials work, if the system is working, so people will slowly start using it.
Okay. Sort of a related question, but let's talk about the KYC system, or the Know Your Customer system. We got a question that reads, when will you fix the broken KYC system? Which I interpret to mean, when will the KYC integration work completely? How would you address that?
The person asking why it's broken, he means that actually KYC system has a few different things. We had KYC as a simple step, which we called KYC level 2, and its purpose is to validate your phone number, just to make sure you cannot infinitely swap new accounts. And this is something that is called broken, because it uses SMS sending feature to the phones, and sometimes SMS fail to be delivered on some countries. And this is true that it sometimes fails. But actually, we are releasing full KYC actually next week. So I think it would not be like any relevant matter of the KYC level 2, because we'll have full KYC next week. So it will work soon, next week.
Okay, so next week is the short answer?
Next week is the short answer for the full KYC.
How about CPU and RAM? When will SONM provide a guaranteed utilization for both CPU and RAM?
Actually, again, next week we are launching. We made a lot of work to support Monero CPU mining, and Monero would be just the first step. And it already worked on the testnet, and we could already launch it. We just wanted to make all the precautions. So we plan to launch it in the next week. Okay.
Here's a question from our YouTube thread. Any details about doing business in Seoul? Anything like that?
Sorry, about business what?
Doing business in Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, in Seoul, yeah, we have a dedicated business developers there. But for this particular question, I don't think I can comment. I just don't know about our Seoul activities, just not deep into them. I think, in the recent time, we have our business developers becoming active in our chats in Telegram, so probably you may direct this particular answer about Seoul and the activities to our chats.
Okay. Here's another one about the SONM token holders.
Yep.
There's an interest that the question reads, will you promise SONM token holders that when the system is fully available, you'll only accept SONM tokens as payment for SONM services? So I won't even try to rejigger that question. I think it reads great on its own.
What is the question about?
They're asking for a promise to SONM token holders that when SONM is
Yes.
fully working or fully available, that you will only accept SONM tokens as payment for SONM services. Is that the case already, or if not, when?
The reason I asked to repeat this question was because I don't understand. The system is already working, and the only way to rent resources is to use SONM token. So there is no like steps here. There are no different options here now, and there won't be any options later. Anyway, any resources rented on SONM will internally use SONM token. But we will provide additional ways to pay with fiat currency, but this would be on top of using SONM token, not instead of it.
Got it. All right. So what about, this is another question from our YouTube chat window. What about SONM exploring the potential of building dApps on sidechain, which I guess was mentioned in a SONM news bulletin in Telegram recently?
Yes, we do. As I mentioned, not me mentioned, but our founder, Sergey, is currently developing some efforts to launch some additional services on top of our sidechain. There could be some additional DevOps. Obviously, this is not the main business, but this could be an additional feature to be built on top of the system. So you know, because we need the system to be scalable, we develop our own sidechain, and the way it works allows us to share this capacity with other projects, and they could also use our token. So this is like a new kind of opportunity that we would like to estimate. So yeah, we have some work on this. I don't think this is a main focus for our system. Main focus is still attracting the customers. But yes, we do some additional work here because we do some efforts to run the sidechain and run the scalability issues, and they maybe can be used by others, by other projects.
Okay. A couple of questions about your Ethereum setup. First, why is the Ethereum hash rate so low? At least according to the person asking the question, it's too low. And are you dependent on prices of other currencies like Ethereum? And just, I think the sort of general question is, how healthy is your financial situation?
I think this is still a couple of different questions. About Ethereum hash rate is the same question about the number of users or about the number of companies. It is like whether this is large or whether this is like small depends on your expectations again. Mm-hmm. So the question about the hash rate is absolutely similar to the number of companies. We see it growing. Currently, this is 2 gigahashes, which is, of course, this is not a big number, not a big deal, but it grows step by step. It grows gradually. And about the next question was about the price of the other cryptocurrencies. We do not like. We are not influenced by them because the number of like payment you receive on SONM is in SONM tokens connected to the prices in USD. So it's fixed, and you anyway receive the USD value of the currency. Okay.
So let me see if I can get this name right. I think it's. I'm not even going to try it. One of our YouTube watchers asked when another coding challenge, which I take to mean we know that you ran a coding challenge in May and June before you launched, and it looks like they're excited for the prospect for maybe another one. Is there one in the works?
Yes, we plan to launch a new challenge, and probably it is mentioned in our updated roadmap, but it's, if I remember correctly, it's scheduled for the next year, when we will provide additional services on top of SONM. So we did this first approach, we have some results, we have some winners. So the next challenge would be probably the next year.
Okay, so there is one coming up, and it'll be sometime next year. That's good news.
Yes.
All right, another question from our YouTube chat window. Have you considered a Bitcoin Talk bounty campaign on mining threads to attract more miners? Word for word.
We work on this. We currently we already have a guarantee of the revenue for any hardware joining our system, if I understand the question correctly. The question is, should we subsidize the deals? And this is something we discuss internally. So this is like the question on the table. Yes, we discuss it. I cannot tell you the exact results by now.
Okay, so we'll let that one sit in a little bit of mystery, huh?
Yes, the background of this question is whether we have to purchase our own hardware to bootstrap the system, or we can just subsidize people joining the system. The second option seems like more viable for us and more usable, so probably we may consider it in the upcoming future.
Okay.
I think the answer here is that if our strategy to attract clients the way we do it now will not show good results that we will be satisfied, probably we will take a next step, because we have some plans, we have some plan Bs here. If the way we do it now won't work, we may subsidize the deals. We may start doing this tomorrow. The question is, should we? If other ways will not work, we may start doing this, no problem. We definitely will not be starting buying equipment, because we just need a place to host it. Just the electricity lines we have in the office are not capable to hold any meaningful number of servers in the office. But subsidizing deals is something we can do if other means will not bring success.
Okay. Got a question from Slido about master nodes. The gist of it is it financially possible now or in the near future to implement master nodes?
This question is reflected in our roadmap again. I mentioned it. We had an estimation to launch master nodes a little bit earlier. We had plans to launch it for August and then for September, but this was based on two things. First, we had different development views, development goals before the launch. Now we have more work to do. We have different explorers. We have different tasks to do additionally. So just more work to do, so we had to move master nodes to the future. And the second thing is that if we had more deals by now, there would be more sense to launch master nodes. By this time, at this moment, there is no much sense to implement master nodes right now. We should first grow the client base and the number of users using SONM, because we technically could do it earlier, but there would not be many sense in this. So with two reasons I mentioned, we moved them into the future.
Okay, a couple of questions about the company. First, one of your followers was curious, how many people work on the SONM team, and what % of those folks are developers?
Actually, I know all of the people by name, but it's always hard to estimate because the number changes by different reasons. So far, I think there is maybe around 50 people in the company. The technical department is around 25 maybe. The numbers change since each time I count them. I can now open the file, just calculate the people, but it will take some time. Nevertheless, around 50 totally and 25 in technical. Maybe around 15, maybe 13 pure software developers, and the rest people are supporting them, analysts, DevOps, quality assurance engineers, etc.
Got it.
So pretty much a lot of them.
Okay, and another viewer asked, I'll just put it out there, is SONM profitable?
Yes, it is. Of course, SONM is profitable because if you contribute hardware to SONM, you will earn money, and it is guaranteed. It is something that we provide and guarantee, because when we have real customers, they pay for work. Whenever we don't have real customers, someone is mining cryptocurrency on your hardware. So you always at least receive the profitability of the crypto mining, and this is pretty much above the zero. So it actually, if we took the times of the winter, around January, the crypto mining could pay for your equipment in 3 years, maybe in 2 years. By now, this time range is longer at this moment because cryptocurrency prices went down, but still it's profitable.
Okay.
But it heavily depends whether you already have the hardware or you're planning to purchase it. If you would like to purchase it today, probably you shouldn't do this because there is too much equipment in the crypto mining industry, and they're currently overwhelmed with hardware. So the prices are cheap now. But if you already have hardware, it's profitable, of course.
All right. Here's another question from VJC. Paul, him or her, it's the short version of their name here in the YouTube chat window. Have you considered referral programs where we, the community, can refer collective fee for doing that?
Actually, again, this question is already reflected in the roadmap. We were thinking about the referral program for a long time, for long months.
Okay.
And we are already building this. And in the roadmap, it's scheduled for the fourth quarter of this year. So actually, before the end of the year, we plan to release our referral system. And it actually will allow to do exactly the thing that you ask. It will allow you to have a referral member code, and the people to which you pitch the system, promote SONM, they may mention you as a person who invited them, and you will have a bonus from their deals and from their turnover.
Okay, so that's already in the mix. That's good to hear.
Exactly, yes. This is a very important step. Actually, all cloud providers already have some kind of referral system. Even the biggest one, even AWS, they may call it different. They may call it like a reward program or partnership program, whatever.
Yeah.
The truth is that if you attract customers and they follow your referral links, they will pay you some money from the money that the clients will spend in the system. And this is a very important step to attract promoters of the system, and we plan to do this.
All right, I want to address a couple of rumors. One is somebody asked, when is SONM going to move to EOS or EOS as an alternative to Ethereum? Is that plan in the mix anywhere?
It's not planned at all. So actually, EOS is an alternative to Ethereum. We had one tweet about EOS, and this was actually to support some people, not to support the migration to the system. And we in the technical department are not moving anywhere, and we currently estimate Ethereum as our basic technology. So no plans. We have some research. We research different systems because we need to understand what's going on. And as part of this research, we also interested in EOS as well, but not only in it. We research different systems, but we are not planning any kind of migration to EOS in any foreseen future.
Okay.
Not at all.
Got it. I want to remind our live viewers that we'll be wrapping up in the next few minutes, so if you have a question to ask, please put it into that YouTube chat window now. We want to make sure to get it in before time's up. And while you type those out, let me ask another question to Igor. Somebody asked, is it true that SEC, by which I think they mean the United States Security and Exchange Commission, will check the SONM project, or I guess that means oversee it, stop it, anything in that direction?
I don't have any information or any news about this topic. I understand what this question is about. I also probably heard some rumors, but as a part of the employee in the company, I don't have any news about this topic, neither we discuss it. So actually, I don't think this is a matter that we discuss or care about. I mean, I think all we do is all right. We just develop the software. It is fine. Don't see any sense for any kind of checking whatever. We just do the software, so I think it is fine.
Okay. Well, let's see. I don't think I missed any big questions on the YouTube list. So we have just a few minutes left. Let's go ahead and talk about some final announcements and upcoming elements. Now, one note I have here is for your roadmap release. I know you've mentioned that already, but I thought since it's important, you might want to offer a quick recap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is probably the 5th version of our roadmap, and be sure this is not the last one. At least we do everything which was mentioned in the previous roadmap up to date, and then we change the future plans. We do what we promised to date, and then because the situation changes, so this is the 5th edition, and this edition is majorly inspired by the feedback which we got from companies trying to use SONM. So at this moment, this roadmap is probably the most far in the future, because the previous roadmap was ending somewhere in the end of this year. But at this moment, our new roadmap is spreading until the end of the next year. So this is pretty much a big scale for us at this moment, because in crypto industry you have 1 year for free. The situation changes so fast. So we think we have the ability to see for the 1.5 years in the future, and this is something that is reflected by our roadmap. And this is very important. I mean, anyone interested in SONM should read this roadmap and see what features are scheduled. They're very interesting, I think.
Okay, that's a good rally cry, right, Igor? Read the roadmap.
Yeah, do this. Do it
All right,
now.
Couple of new questions just popped into the YouTube chat window. One, I'll just read this verbatim. It says, USB is finished. Will the companies that are interested in SONM have ordered such USB, and has it been promoted?
What do you say?
USB is in boy. USB.
What is this?
I'm not sure. I was hoping you'd know.
How is it spelled? Can you type it to me in chat? Just yeah, sure. Sorry, I just not necessarily catch all the words. USB is finished. Oh yeah. I mean, probably the person asking for the question means a USB stick or USB installer for SONM. And yes, indeed, we already have a working SONM installer. It's actually a modified Linux distribution, and we currently test it. So when we have it working, we will first release it as a software, allowing people to burn it on their own USB sticks. And whenever it will work and tested by the community, of course we will do some branded USB sticks with our installer, if this is a thing that the person is meaning. Yeah, sorry, I have a flu, so I may like do some strange noises, sorry.
I know. Igor's a trooper today. He has the flu, and he's working under the weather to get this Q&A session done for you.
Sorry for this.
All right. So let's talk about a couple of other final announcements as we get to the last couple of minutes and we wrap up. And first, in addition to the roadmap, I understand you have some other events coming up. First of all, Igor, you are speaking at the Fog World Congress, which is taking place October 1st to 3rd, just a couple of weeks from now, at the Hyatt Regency in San Francisco. And I understand your program is called Streaming Fog, 2 case studies using 5G and fog for real-time video. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. The important thing about the the Fog World Congress conference is that it is founded and held by the Open Fog Consortium, which is pretty much a professional organization founded by Microsoft, Intel, and the big companies and the universities. So actually all the participants and the speakers, what is important, were first carefully selected inside the Open Fog Consortium itself. So the only fact of the allowance to speak at this conference is not like based on the financial sponsorship, but is based on the acceptance that the use case is valid. So actually I'm very honored to have an opportunity to speak there, because this like serious organization is considering that this is a valid use case and we should talk about this. And we will have a joint talk with another person. We will provide 2 solutions for rendering in the fog. I think this is very important because this is valid use cases respected by a serious company. Okay.
And along those lines, that is not your last speech. You have, SONM will also be present at Cloud Expo Asia, which is the following week, October 10th to 11th in Singapore. So you're going to be logging some serious airline miles in the next month.
Yeah, actually I will make a round the world trip.
Yeah, I think so. And at that show, you're giving something like 4 or 5 different speeches. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, on the Fog World Congress, we'll have a small booth and we will have 1 speech. But this is like a very high quality speech because it was previously approved by serious consortium. But on the Cloud Asia, I will have 5 speeches. 4 of them will be just common speeches on some different topics. I will provide different explanations for fog computing and different aspects of this thing. And I will also hold a workshop. Like, I mean, actually, if we will have enough time to prepare, because we have very limited amount of time to prepare, I want to hold a workshop for DevOps and technicians to collectively install SONM and try to use it. Like, we'll probably have 1 hour and I will try to explain, and they will do it in the audience, install SONM and try to use it. I think this would be very useful, but it will be hard to just need some time to prepare for this. I'm not sure that I will have enough time, but I will try my best to do this. So actually 4 speeches and a workshop.
All right. So do you think that could possibly happen at the Singapore show?
Yeah, it will happen. It's like the plan A to have 4 speeches and a workshop. We probably won't have a booth there because there would be anyway enough speaking about SONM during these whole speeches. I think it would be enough of SONM there.
So can we call this the Igor Tour, the Igor World Tour? You're in Moscow right now. You'll be in San Francisco in 2 weeks. You'll be in Singapore the week after that. You are not only in different cities, but different continents, different countries all over the world.
Still not used to naming any things with my name. I'm still like just an engineer, so whatever.
Okay. We have one more quick announcement to make. That is that the SONM merchandise store is open, and it's got lots of cool SONM merchandise, stuff very much like this hoodie sweatshirt. The URL is SONM, SONM.threadless, THREADLESS.com. And if you can't get all that down, the easier route is to go to SONM.com, SONM's own website. You scroll down to the footer at the bottom. You'll see a few columns worth of links. There's a column called Company, and the last link, the bottom link in the Company column, is a link to the merch store, and it's labeled Merch Store, so it's nice and easy to find. Igor, have you been shopping at the SONM merch store?
You know, personally about me, I understand the importance of the merch shop because many people were asking about the t-shirt or hoodie, whatever. Me personally, I have a lot of SONM merchandise. I have a number of hoodies, I have a number of t-shirts. I don't need to purchase it anymore for the upcoming years, maybe.
All right, we have just a minute or so, and I want to sneak in one more question that just popped in the YouTube chat window. Here it is. What do you think is the most challenging thing for, one, the crypto world? I take that to be the whole world of cryptocurrency and crypto mining. And two, what's the most challenging thing for SONM in the next 1 to 3 years? So you can answer for the crypto world or SONM or both.
I have exact answer for this question. For the whole crypto world, the biggest challenge is the scalability issues, because if you will check, most of the projects are not really scalable, and the first project who will do scalability solution like sharding, be it Ethereum or be it Waves or be it NEM or be it another blockchain, they will be like, who will be the first? They will conquer everything. This is the biggest challenge. And for some, the biggest challenge is the adoption. I mean, because we are silently doing our fork revolution, and the biggest thing is to change the mind of people to use some architecture and use some system in the real world like usage. And there is not only about the SONM architecture, it's also about using tokens, about using cryptocurrencies in the real world. It's also like a difficult thing for many. So these are the biggest challenges. Adoption, using cryptocurrency, and for the general blockchain industry, the scalability.
Okay, and at least as far as adoption is concerned, that's why you're on the Igor World Tour, right? To spread the word personally about how this all works. All right, well, thank you very much, Igor, for joining us for the Q&A session. We know you're under the weather today. You did a brilliant job. We appreciate all the answers, and we hit as many questions and gave as many answers as our time allowed. We want to thank everybody who joined us on YouTube for this live Q&A, who submitted questions, who watched the answers. I know Igor very much appreciates your interest in the company. You're following its progress very closely. We know you're rooting for SONM, and it seems like the company is really making progress. And I expect that we'll be back in October with another live Q&A session.
Yeah, and thank you for your participation in this Q&A. Since you joined us, it's becoming more interesting, more emotional. So thank you very much for this talk as well.
My pleasure.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you everyone for listening to this. See you next time.